Have you ever wondered why some movies or TV series pisses you off? That you exactly don't know why, how, when, or what did that specific kind of media or content annoys the hell out of you and you really don't get why? There are a lot of factors, but one of them that could actually very much be on your own and you have every right to be pissed off if you feel like it is because they didn't respect your it's because they didn't respect your suspension of disbelief. And I want to explain to you why this is important and how you can actually avoid it in when you write your scripts, your books, and when you think in general about making a book or a TV series or a movie or whatever type of content that you want. So strap on, let's cover it and let's get on with suspension of disbelief. Now, suspension of disbelief is very easy to explain. Is an action that you do involuntarily, but it's kind of a gift from you to the person that wants you to watch the movie or the TV series that they're actually showing to you. And this is a nicety that you do for them. Let me explain. For example, let's take Back to the Future, okay? Now, I'm gonna put it as this example as my dad, okay? My father loves Back to the Future 1 and 2. And very funnily, he hates Back to the Future 3. Now, a lot of the things that happen in this movie can factor why this is a difference, but I think this is the best example I can give for suspension of disbelief. So, this is the act that you do that you cancel your beliefs, that you decide to let something go, that you allow something to happen within your terms of possibility to having a good time while you watch a movie or a film. So, for example, my dad really hates movies that are very fantasy or very sci-fi nonsense, as he will tell. He hates Harry Potter because he doesn't believe in magic. He thinks that the fact that carrying a wand is very silly, but I'm gonna touch all of that in a moment. But let's go Back to the Future now. My dad loves Back to the Future, despite being a sci-fi film. He really enjoys this film. Why? Because I think that the only thing that the movie asked for my father is, hey, the only thing I'm going to ask from you is that you accept that time traveling is real. So that suspension of disbelief is an act where the director or the creator of the piece of media that you're watching says, okay, you know what, I'm gonna need you to help me with this so you can better enjoy the movie in a more broad example way, more openly way. So I think this is the reason why my dad likes Back to the Future, because the only thing that the movie asks from him is to accept or at least try to ignore the belief that traveling in time is real. So with that's the only concession that the movie gives to my father. And I think Back to the Future is a very grounded story. The two is also very well put in stakes and all. Why does my father hate Back to the Future 3? Because it gives a little bit more of concessions from the people. So in Back to the Future 3, the suspension of disbelief actually increases because it tells you, okay, you know what? I need you to believe that one, time traveling is real, which you already accepted with the previous two movies. I also need you to accept that a train can actually perform as a time machine equal to a DeLorean. And third, I want you to expect that the dog can have the same kind of materials and knowledge to actually pull off a time machine in the Western era and actually fall in love with a woman from that time. So if you keep escalating, you're gonna see that the concessions that the movie is asking from you is growing very, very loudly. So that's the reason why my father hates Back to the Future 3, because he's a simple man. He likes movies and TV series that really resound with him, but he doesn't see that the suspension of disbelief crashes with Back to the Future 3, because he says, okay, I can accept that time traveling is real, but I mean, a train that travels in time is ridiculous. The doctor actually managing to restore the time machine from years before he can actually pull it off with the DeLorean. No, because we also know that the doc failed extensively in his present time, so he pulling it off with less technology is outrageous. So he hates the movie because the movie is asking too much from him. And you can actually decide if you give the suspension of disbelief, and that's very, very important to look at, because people don't realize how powerful they are and what they can do to actually decide if a movie is successful or not. So we know that if you don't like a TV or a movie, you're not gonna subscribe to a streaming service, or you're not gonna spend money in the cinema to watch that film. Your wallet is one of the most powerful weapons that you have to decide which movie is good or not. The other one that you have is suspension of disbelief, because you have to keep in mind, you have to try to respect a bit more of your taste, and that you people don't realize that they can actually do better, and they they don't really see that we could be actually be heading into a more quality time with more quality projects. But as long as people don't really value the suspension of disbelief that they do to films, and they spend money in films that don't actually deserve it, we're not gonna be getting a lot more quality. Now, um, in recent times, that has been changing. We are getting into a period where I think movies and TV series are gonna be great again, are gonna be interesting. They're gonna be having a lot of new stories, but we had to go through a very difficult years of slop after slop. And the reason I'm making this video is to tell you that this thing that you feel when you see a movie and say, I don't know how to explain it, but I hate it, is your suspension of disbelief. It's because you didn't you didn't accept it what the director wanted from you. And I mean, you're not giving anything. They're not giving you anything from that suspension of disbelief. You are just giving it for free, and you should actually think if a movie is good enough for you to spend your money, to spend your time, to go to the cinema. And keep in mind that you have more power than you think to shape the future of Hollywood and all the other productions that are going on right now, all the content that is getting publicized in everywhere, YouTube, TikTok. I mean, you have the power to decide what is good and what is not. And the first step is to learn about your suspension of disbelief. So let's take another example. Now let's look at another film, which is Lightyear. Now this movie asks you a lot of things. The first one is, hey, keep in mind and try to understand and accept that this Lightyear isn't the toy. This Lightyear is the real fictional person inside the fictional world where Toy Story exists, that they use his likeness to make the actual toy of Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story. Now, from there, you can see that that's a lot of contention. That's a lot of things that are actually not making a lot of sense, because Buzz Lightyear isn't a real person in our world. It's a real person in a fictional world. So that's that's a suspension of disbelief. And then the toy was made to resemble this fictional person that was a fictional important astronaut. And then they made the toy, which the toy now is real. So that's another suspension of disbelief. And then the movie that takes you in a plot where they go into a planet and they are actually they suffer an accident and they need to look out for oil and as it's an exploration. And you say, okay, but what am I watching? I mean, I know Lightyear only because of the toy. Now he's an astronaut that is going to planets, and then a lot of years pass because time flows differently. I mean, you can see why this movie failed because it asked a lot of acceptance from its audience, and it really should have been pretty simple. I mean, we can actually analyze the other Pixar movies to actually see this in action. The only thing that Finding Nemo asks from you is, hey, you know what? These two fishes can talk. That's it. The rest of the story we see is a father trying to look out for his son, traveling across the sea. We can accept a lot of things because we know that this is what fishes do. I mean, we can probably take a few liberties with how Nemo was kidnapped, how they managed to get back and form a family with Dory. But the only thing that the movie asks from its audience is, hey, fishes talk. The same thing with Ratatouille. The only thing that the movie asks from us is, hey, you know what? This is Remy, it's a rat, he likes to cook. Okay. First suspension of disbelief, complete. He can talk. Okay, another suspension of disbelief, but I can get on board. And he has a human friend, which helps him cook, so he can actually live through his dream of being a chef towards him. Now, that's three suspensions of disbelief, if you see. And despite that, the story is very good, and that's the main reason why Ratatouille is very much appreciated as a very good story. We can actually get into a lot of other examples, but I believe that most of us have seen the classics of Pixar, so I think this is the best example that I can give. And it's really that simple. If you are writing a book, if you are writing a TV series, a script, or a script for a movie or a series, you need to be careful with how much you abuse the suspension of disbelief of your audience, because if they feel that they're being tasked with accepting a lot, they can very well not see your things and they are forced to it. If your audience doesn't like your project, doesn't like your movie, the series that you made, that's the perfect example that you did something wrong. It's not that it was probably made for a different audience. It was probably it didn't tell a good story. But at the end of the day, you have to keep in mind how important it is to respect the suspension of disbelief from your audience. As long as you do that, you won't be having a lot of issues. The less suspensions you ask, the more your movie could be very gratifying. Now, remember, you only have to excuse one or two things. So, and you have to be very careful what you ask your audience to accept, because the moment that they decide, you know what, I don't accept this, you're done, because the thing that you want to communicate, the thing you want to tell in your story is not gonna be it's not gonna be good. So yeah, guys, that's it. Just try to focus, just try to be mindful of the things that you ask to your audience, to your fans, when you make projects like this. And respect the suspension of disbelief, and try to have a little bit more of self-love to you, and tell others also that you are worth more than this love that we are getting right now. So keep that in mind. Always search for quality. You deserve it. If you go watch a movie just because you're supporting the studio, the best thing you can do is not watch the movie, because the studio is gonna be doing the same if that movie is a success. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. This is Ink Tower. Keep writing, and I'll see you in the next video.